What's going on, everybody? You found Bottom Tier Collector. I'm your host, BTC, and we're actually talking about top tier content, but from a bottom tier collector. Today, we're talking about the Energon universe. You can see the 3 books behind me, the 3 books that are largely my introduction to the Energon universe. Now, first things first, this is something I've been introduced to and have learned about largely within the last, let's just say, couple of weeks. I thought it was just a Transformers G.I. Joe thing at Image. I thought Image was acquiring the rights and they were just doing this shared thing. But as I'm learning, there's an additional series that I haven't read yet that kicked off the entire Energon universe, Void Rivals, written by Robert Kirkman. And it is my understanding, after having read some of the information provided in the back of these 3 books, that Robert Kirkman is indeed kicking off and kind of overseeing this Energon universe. But obviously, Daniel Warren Johnson, Joshua Williamson, maybe Mike Spicer, Annalisa Leone, maybe the artists are real involved. But yeah, from what I gather, it's a Robert Kirkman thing. This is not my first rodeo with a universe building thing. I feel like I can qualify the time I jumped into the hobby by saying I was kind of there at the beginning of New 52. I think Batman was barely a year old in the New 52. That Batman 13 is just kind of the landmark issue for me in New 52. And that was real cool. New 52 was kind of a slow burn. It really started out as day 1 in the DC universe. You know, the origin stories of all the characters and all the characters in the Justice League meeting each other for the first time. And then I was also a part of this, the Spawn universe. I was there at the launch. That was just kind of more expanding on the Spawn book that was already decades old. It was kind of, I think, something Todd McFarlane was just waiting at the right time to do. I think maybe he always wanted to branch out Spawn into that Spawn universe, but I guess he felt for whatever reason it was the right time to do it, not long after the 300th issue of Spawn. And so that wasn't really a day 1 universe world building thing. It was just kind of, Spawn universe is just kind of taking the Spawn book and what's already there and just making it more, making it bigger. And then this is kind of something different from those experiences I had with New 52, that I had with Spawn Universe. This largely feels like Skybound, who is actually the creator of the Energon universe. It's Image Comics that is publishing these books. So just don't get confused by the trade dress. Yes, Image is publishing these books, but it is Joshua Williamson, Daniel Warren Johnson, and Robert Kirkman largely at. I believe there's a 4th writer creator that's in on the process. I just don't know their name. But they are assuming you know about G.I. Joe and Transformers already. Again, I haven't read Void Rivals, so I don't know the whole story. And I haven't read any more than these 3 issues. So I don't know the story so far. And I don't want to say too much, because you might be like me and just be figuring out about this Energon universe, and maybe you want to get into it. But this largely, after reading all 3 books, it just largely feels like they understand the audience for the Energon universe. They understand we're all 30-somethings, 40-somethings, even 50-somethings that are going to be purchasing these books, and they've adultified, now not in a rated R sense, but they've matured the content in these books, and now it still has the recognizable spirit of these properties that everybody knows and loves from the cartoons back in the 80s. But they're still like a mature, adultified version of all these characters and properties. I'll just do a brief description of each book, and then maybe provide some closing comments at the end if you do me the service. So Transformers, because Transformers comes out first of these 3 books. I think it came out in November. Transformers, it centers around, obviously, who's on the cover, Optimus Prime, right? And it throws you into a battle with Starscream. Well, we also set up 2 adolescent characters at the beginning of the book, and they kind of stumble into the battle between Starscream and Jetfire and Soundwave and Optimus Prime. And I don't know every single Transformer. Full disclosure, I didn't grow up on Transformers. I always felt like these properties were a little too past my day for me to get into it. You know, me being born in 1989, Transformers had already seen its glory days by the time I was born. But so it's just kind of ironic that I'm now, all these years later, so enthusiastic about Transformers and G.I. Joe and this Energon universe. But anyways, back to the book. That is where that Transformers book largely goes. That battle between Optimus Prime and Starscream, and we're getting introduced to the 2 adolescent heroes that are so staple in a Transformers story. Then Duke came out in December, I believe. I was lucky to find a Duke cover A over at Rick's Comic City in the comic hall. I believe I showed 2 of these 3 books in that comic hall. Very excited that I found that Duke #1. And I have a special attachment to Duke. My first non-kitty, non-baby toy was the 25th anniversary G.I. Joe Hall of Fame 12-inch Duke action figure with the Gulf War garb and the M16 that lit up and made a sound effect. Had a little LED in that gun. So they really wanted to get in on this Duke book. You know, largely for nostalgia for sure, but getting into the book, it felt a lot, you know, I don't know, again, G.I. Joe is another property. Even though I have that toy, I don't know a lot about G.I. Joe, but it just largely felt like, to me, that they were kind of reshaping Duke. Maybe this was the Duke origin story you've never heard before, kind of thing. And kind of went into his background, his military background, and kind of how it kind of goes into at the end, where I don't want to say too much, but Duke kind of disagrees with the powers that be in that book. And that's really all I want to say about that. I don't want to spoil too much for you. And then Cobra Commander was a really enjoyable book. There's a big reveal at the end of Duke as well. But in Cobra Commander, it kind of is just explaining Cobra, the rise of the Cobra Commander, kind of setting up the villains and that sort of thing. And then there's a big, again, just like in Duke, there's a big reveal at the end. I'll say this much because, you know, maybe it's not a spoiler at this point, but Megatron is in the Cobra Commander book. If you're looking for Megatron, that's where he's at. And I don't want to say any more than that, you know, what he's doing, where he's at, how he's been, kind of thing. And that's largely these 3 issues are just oversimplified. And that's the Energon universe. I am all on board for this. I have to say I'm totally excited. This is going to be a pull list mainstay. I gotta get Void Rivals #1. I got a couple hours. I got 3.5, 4 hours till I need to be picking up kids. I may try to jet to a comic store, see if I can find Void Rivals 1, but I may just hold off and just wait because payday is actually next week, and I might just wait till that next Friday when I don't have as much to do. That next Friday I actually have some appointments to do today, but anyways, yeah, I need to catch up on Void Rivals. I need to catch up on these books. I'm real behind on the Energon universe, but I'm glad I didn't just blow off my curiosity. I'm glad I fed my curiosity. I'm glad I dipped in. It was an experience. I didn't regret. I don't feel like I wasted. I overpaid for this. I paid the eBay aftermarket price. I didn't get into an auction and try to get a deal. By my own standards, I overpaid bad. But I wanted cover A of Transformers 1. I did want to get in on the Energon universe, and I did buy these two and read these two first. That was kind of my trial run to see if it was for me, and I was very impressed. And don't feel like I don't feel like I wasted $10. That's what I was trying to say. For Duke and Cobra Commander. So that'll do me for this video, guys. I didn't want to say too much, didn't want to reveal too much. The Energon universe is still pretty fresh, and I'd like for you guys that watch the video, I'd like to give you the opportunity to have your interest peaked like mine was, and then go out and enjoy the stories organically like I did. So I hope I did a good job of that. I hope I stayed on track for the most part. I know my ADD kicked in and I kind of got on tangents, but we made it through the video. And I want to thank you guys as always for liking, subscribing, and commenting. And until next time.